Woo woo! Welcome to Bible Theory, homie.
Taking the church to the streets, homie.
And how did Augustine evangelize? Like
Yeah.
evangelize the gospel? Like did he create? Was he the first one to create a gospel tract? Was he the first one to go out there and slap people in the face with a jacket, and then they get saved? Like like what is his methodology that he would be like, nah, I don't do that, but this is evangelism according to what I think
Yeah.
and how Christians should emulate, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you could walk us through that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Augustine. It's important to note that one of the groups that Augustine came out of was called Manichaeanism, and Manichaeanism was they themselves were very evangelistic. They were a cult. They come from Marcion, and so they were certainly a cult. And but they remind me somewhat of like a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon type of mentality where it's just like all hands on deck. We're going to go blitz neighborhoods. We're going to go. And so he comes out of that. He has an evangelistic fervor and some experience already. But when he comes into the faith, really, I think there's probably three main ways that he's evangelizing. Number one would be from the pulpit because he acknowledges that within the church there are the saved and the non-saved. And so he sees it as so. If you read some of his sermons, his sermons are very evangelistic, and he recognizes that a lot of people here are lost, and so I need to address their souls. I need to address that. Number two, though, would definitely be his writings, and so that's kind of like what we're saying with the City of God. The City of God is an evangelistic tract. It's an evangelistic book. It's a work that's written for people who are pagan, and he's trying to expose that, hey, you as a pagan have a deficient religion, and you need to realize that this is the true religion, Christianity. And of course there's some apologetic in there anyways, just because people are trying to pin Christians and Christianity for the reason why the Roman Empire is collapsing, and so he's defending the faith in that way. But his writings, he's writing letters. It's really cool when you start going through his letters. He'll get letters from people who are lost, from a lot of times they're like they're officials, they're people high up in government, and they're writing him about certain things regarding the faith, and he's responding to them with letters. And so it's kind of like our form of social media in a sense. He would be, I have no doubt, he would be interacting with people, maybe emails, social media, through the medium of just exchanging words and letters and however you can, text messages to people who are lost. And so he's definitely doing a lot of that. And then the third thing is, so if you remember the Roman Catholics in the Inquisition, when they're going around and they're basically forcing people to be converted, Augustine is not a proponent of that type of evangelism. However, the way that he treats both the Donatists and the Pelagians is is somewhat harsh as far as coercion goes. And I'm saying that because, again, it's not to say everything Augustine did is just great. Augustine was tolerant towards those who were not Christians in the beginning. He was more tolerant. As time went on, what he realized, and this is why I'm categorizing this under evangelism, what he realized is that if there is a certain amount of persecution, now not murder, he was never okay with people being murdered or tortured or things like that. But if there is a certain amount of persecution, or let's say heavy-handed persuasion against enemies of Christianity, what he started seeing is that people do come to Christianity because they don't want to be persecuted. And so he seems to justify some of that. Now, not in the sense of the Inquisition. People try to tie Augustine with the Inquisition, and they're inaccurate for doing so. Augustine was never on board with something like that. But you do see some of the seeds are planted there. And so that's another way that Augustine is looking at times at evangelism. And again, I think his motives are are genuine, that he's genuinely trying to see souls converted. But of course, we look at it now, especially in our very, where tolerance is like the it's like the unpardonable sin to not be tolerant. And so Augustine, that's not his age. That's what we have to remember. Augustine does not live in 2022 United States. He lives in a world where this is normal. This is normal. It's not like what Augustine's doing is weird. That's normal. And so Augustine sees that as an opportunity to bring people into the faith.